The office of U.S. Senator Larry Craig of Idaho presents The Washington Report.
Welcome to The Washington Report, everyone. I'm Iris Amador. We're so glad you can join us. With Thanksgiving now behind us, the end of the year is just around the corner. The Senate, however, still has a lot of business to tend to between now and then. Besides finalizing appropriations bills, climate change will be on several legislators' agenda. A group of senators will participate in the United Nations Climate Change Conference, to be held from December 3rd to the 14th in Bali, Indonesia. Exhaust from cars and other transportation accounts for large percentages of carbon emissions, which, according to scientific reports, increased 70% globally between 1970 and 2004. How to reduce the release of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere will be at the core of negotiations among 180 nations. Some U.S. representatives, like Al Gore, say the government should control the nation's energy production and charge high taxes for energy consumption. Others argue that the solution is promoting renewable energy sources like nuclear, hydropower, ethanol, and wind. Among them, Idaho Senator Larry Craig, who is also participating in the conference.
Already, the nuclear industry is a factor in contributing to a baseload that is a clean source. The investment, in fact, this country is putting into climate change is by a factor of 5 greater than the rest of the world combined as it relates to research and development, and that's something we ought to be very, very proud of. So I think we're advancing the cause dramatically at this moment.
That investment is resulting in significant innovations. Now, though, in our Snapshot segment, we want to tell you about a tradition in the Senate that has changed very little in 100 years. You'll see in Stephen Lohman's piece how in this place one finds history even in the kitchen.
Things can change quite rapidly here in the Senate. Agreements reached in one moment can unravel in the next. But if there's one thing you can always count on, that's a piping hot cup of Senate bean soup. The soup is served every day of the week in Senate restaurants and has been on the menu for over a century. Visitors can get a bean soup mug, like this one, in the gift shop. It comes with the recipe printed on the side. We will give you that recipe in a minute, but first, a bit of the legend that surrounds this soup. It is believed Senate cooks have been preparing the famous soup since the early 1900s. The Senate Library has an entire file dedicated to the bean soup, but its exact origins remain hazy. According to one account, at the turn of the 20th century, Fred Du Bois, a senator from Idaho who chaired the committee that oversaw Senate restaurants, was so fond of the dish he pushed a resolution requiring the soup to be served daily. Since there is no record of this resolution in the Senate archives, this story competes with another version that says it was Senator Knute Nelson from Minnesota who insisted the bean soup be permanently on the menu in 1903. What is true, however, is that the soup has enjoyed much fame through the years, making it to the news more than once, like the occasion in 1949 when a female photographer threw a bowl of the soup at a male newspaper writer who criticized her work in his column. You don't have to come to the Capitol to try it. You can create a batch of this hearty soup, both in flavor and history, in your own home. You will need 2 pounds dried navy beans, 4 quarts of hot water, 1.5 pounds smoked ham hocks, 1 chopped onion, 2 tablespoons of butter, and salt and pepper to taste. Wash the navy beans and run hot water through them until they are slightly whitened. Then place the beans and ham hocks into a pot with hot water. Cover and let simmer for approximately 3 hours. Then remove the ham and set the soup aside to cool. Dice the meat and then return it to the pot. Lightly brown the onion in butter and add it to the soup as well. Finally, bring the soup to a boil and season with salt and pepper. The recipe will serve 8 people. The bean soup has even been the subject of speeches on the Senate floor. For its 100th anniversary, one senator noted that only once in its history did the soup kettles run dry. It was one September day in 1943, due to wartime rationing. Somehow, Senate chefs were able to bring back the soup the next day, and it has not been missing since.
Well, we do hope you enjoy. This will be all for this Washington Report. I'm Iris Amador. Thank you all so much for being with us today.